Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Hey,
How's everybody doing?
James.
We're
James.
James.
Oh
good.
my God. I'm echoing
Damn,
Rick.
damn, damn.
Damn.
Testing one, two, testing one, two. I'm still echoing.
He said he's going to get it out the way. Go ahead, say damn, so he does not hear it
One, one,
anymore.
one.
How many interviews do
Okay,
people
you
ask
won't
you
have
to
to hear
say
it
it or they
anymore
say,
after this. Damn, done.
thank you, done and over with. Ladies and gentlemen, he was a
You got it.
father to us in the 70s on Good Times. I spent a lot of my time not just watching the show, but in Cabrini Green itself, y'all. The one, the only, James Amos.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Absolutely.
How are
Living
you?
legend.
If I might, the name is John.
Oh,
John
John.
Amos.
oh, you know what? Thank you.
Our
That's the
mind is
way to
Yeah, I'm still
still.
stuck on James.
Show.
I was going to fix it. Ladies and
James
gentlemen,
Amos, John
John. Huh?
Amos.
Huh?
As
Let
long
me
as you
just
make the check out to John Amos, it's all right.
There you go. Here you go.
It'll clear, right?
All right. Here we go. Ladies
Yeah,
and
no
gentlemen,
harm, no
John
foul. It's clear.
Amos.
Yay.
I'll fix all of that.
Hey, Mr. John, I just have to tell you,
Yes,
still
ma'am.
today, still watching Good Times all the time. I've seen probably every episode 100 times. You have been so influential to millions. That show just changed
Well,
our
thank you.
lives. It really did.
Thank you so much. Norman
You
Lear
know,
created a great showcase for situations and for real characters at that time. I was blessed to get that position, and I'll be forever grateful to Norman Lear for that opportunity. It was wonderful, not just for me, but for the viewing public as well.
Yeah.
what was it like for you to talk about some of those issues that truly affected us? Because for me, I would assume that, we're just coming out of the civil rights movement, maybe, 10, 15 years in, and you guys are touching that. Was it easy for you to do, or did you stand back a little bit? What was that moment like for you?
Well, it was easy from the standpoint of the material that we had to work with. That is, when it was prevalent and really an issue, long before it became a national or an international issue, Norman Lear was dealing with gun violence in the community and how it was affecting communities, how it was affecting neighborhoods, how it was affecting families. That one
Right.
episode where JJ was confronted with a pistol, I
Mm-hmm.
think it spoke volumes about what can be done through the power of television. Nothing had been done before Norman Lear made his mark in the industry and began to perpetuate the television media with quality shows. There were no real shows on that showed the concerns of the working family, or certainly not those of ethnic families. So Norman Lear is to be congratulated and is to be memorialized, as far as I'm concerned. Is probably one of the more important voices in all of television.
I would agree with you, but I had a few words when James died on the show. I mean, I was just devastated. Can you share with us what happened and why you had to die off the show?
Well, in every creative situation, particularly as it relates to television or film, uh, nobody agrees 100% on every creative aspect of the show. And I had some very, what I felt were justifiable differences with the direction in which the show was going while I was one of the featured players on it. And we couldn't resolve those differences amiably. Initially, we couldn't. And so I was sitting at home one day and I got one of those magical phone calls that forever changes your life. And it was Norman Lear's assistant, J.D. Joe, a very capable young production assistant, calling me to tell me that Norman was there on the phone and wanted to speak with me. And I got on the phone, and he was very amiable, as he always is, and very calm and collected. And he said, "Hi, John, how you doing?" I said, "Just fine, Norman. What's up?" And he said, "Well, the good news is that the show has been renewed for uh, another season," and that was pretty much a given. that was going to happen because the ratings were pretty high, very substantial at that time. So that didn't surprise me. And I said, yeah, well, what else is going on? He said, well, the good news is the show has been renewed, but the bad news is you won't be with us. And
Wow.
Good God
Wow.
I let
Almighty.
that sink in for a minute. You know, it was a very informal way of letting me know that my services were no longer required. And he didn't go into great detail, but he did suffice it to say, he did say, John, you have become a disruptive factor to the program, and we can't have it. And as I look back on my track record with the show, I had become disruptive. If disruptive meant arguing and threatening to become violent about script content that I felt was unsavory, at least unsavory, and uncomplimentary to Black folks and to that particular financial demographic. Um, and we couldn't resolve it, so I was fired off of Good Times for that reason. But I'm very proud and happy to say that Norman and I reached a point where whatever differences we had were secondary to what we felt we could present on television. So we made up our differences. We resolved whatever issues we had. We went on to do, I think, 2 or 3 more pilots together, including shows that were aired on CBS. And to this day, Norman Lear is one of the. I'm more proud of having worked that relationship with Norman Lear for Good Times and the subsequent shows that followed, and the recent recapitulation of Good Times with that Good Times reunion program. That was wonderful, and it was well received. So I'm very happy to say that whatever differences I had with him when I was younger and a little more headstrong have gone by the wayside as they do as you mature in this business or in life for that matter.
Mr. Amos, and with that said, and I think I may know the answer to this, but in hindsight, do you have any regrets for how you handled that situation? And if had the chance, would you do the same thing or something different?
If I could do it over again, I would put more emphasis on being diplomatic. I think Norman Wood, had I approached it with a more mature attitude and a more diplomatic attitude, um, things might have gone more favorably, and I could have stayed on with the show for a while. But the bottom line was, I had come out of the arena of professional football, and with me, everything was pretty much confrontational. If you had differences
Sure.
with somebody on the football field, you resolve those, you resolve
Sound.
those
Yeah.
differences Jersey style.
I
There was not
understand.
a lot of diplomacy. It was just like, come on, let's do this. And
Right. No.
that didn't work.
Yeah.
That didn't work too well in television. I mean, writers got tired of having their lives threatened over mundane jokes or what I felt were valid script points. And I could have done a lot better in that arena. So, in answer to your question, yeah, I would have changed my way of approaching it. I would have had the same arguments as regards to script content and character development and situations as to whether or not they were real. Like, for example, there were small things that I observed in the course of the production of the show. Like, we had a cast of guest actors come in who were portraying figures of authority. And in the course of coming into the Evans apartment, one of the actors chose to improvise, and he spit on the floor. And I
Wow.
stopped. I stopped and I said, "Cut," which was not my authority or my place to
Right.
do it. But I said, "Oh no, you can't.
Right.
Nobody walks into a man's house and spits on the
Spits on the
floor without there
floor.
being
Right.
some type of retribution
Absolutely.
Right.
immediately." I said, "This is not something you talk about diplomatic. No, you grab him in his collar and get him out of the house as quickly as possible, hopefully with some severe pain and bruises." So that,
So John was
well,
offing
I mean, tell
James
the
at
truth.
times on the set,
Tell the
huh?
truth. Say again.
I said so. John was offing James sometimes in real life on the set. You going to James?
Well, yeah. Absolutely, that's a good way of putting it. If an actor is really fortunate, I feel he'll come across those roles where his personality becomes almost seamless with that of the way the character is designed, and that makes it very easy for me to work.
Sure.
I've always had an affinity for the military, so consequently, when I had a chance to play those military roles, like Admiral Percy Fitzwallace on The West Wing, which is a well-received
Yeah.
series, I
Yes.
enjoyed it. I mean, once you put on that uniform with all that fruit salad on it, and
Yes.
everybody is so, I mean, that is respect, man. And I loved it, and I had a wonderful opportunity to meet Colin Powell when he was Secretary of State, and it was just wonderful to meet him and be in his company. When I walked into his office, he said, "Wait a minute, I want to call somebody." He called his wife Alma and he said, "Alma, you'll never guess who I got in my office." And I thought to myself, she'll never guess who he's got in his office. My mother would never believe that I, Sonny Amos from East Orange, New Jersey, was meeting Colin Powell in the
Wow.
White
Wow.
House. It was
Wow.
a fantastic experience for me. But it goes to
Wow.
show you how the power of television and how fortunate you can be if you, with the right company of producers, writers, and the entire company that makes up a successful television show.
Yeah.
Mr. John, how was it when they did the reboot and they had Jamie Foxx and you saw all the old cast members again? What was that feeling like to all be in the same room on set?
It was like I had gotten into a time machine or something. We'd all gone back, but the thing that was really gratifying for me was I got to play opposite Andre Brower, who was portraying James Evans, the character I had originally portrayed on Good Times, and Andre did such a fantastic job
Incredible
that
actor.
it was like watching my own performance. I was watching James Evans, but still being outside of both characters, James Evans and the character I was portraying. It was kind of weird in a way, kind of like Twilight Zone, you know. But it was
Right.
gratifying. I worked with Andre before. We had done Shakespeare in the Park on for the late Joe Papp, and that was a
Yeah.
wonderful experience. He's a superb actor,
He
Andre
is.
Brower. So,
Yeah,
Andre,
he
I hope
is.
all is going well for you and for the entire cast. Unfortunately, we lost Janae Dubois, who
Yeah.
played Willona, one of the staples of the show, and that
Man. Yeah.
served to serve notice on me as to how temporary fame is, and quite frankly, how temporary life is when you
Absolutely.
begin to explore all the opportunities. And I've been extremely fortunate. I've been one of those guys who just got lucky, found something he loved to do, and that seemed to love him back for a while and in so many fashions that I have no complaints. Thank you, God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Speaking about Janet Dubois, Janet Jackson played her daughter Penny. Had you ever had a chance to catch up with Janet, or even, in fact, gone to a Janet Jackson show? I mean, to look at her and say, "Look at little Penny.
I
Now
know,
she's this big
right?
superstar."
This is the truth. In my career, which is now spanning quite a few decades, I've never had the opportunity to meet the young lady, to
Wow.
meet Janet
What?
Jackson.
But you met.
Never. In fact, go ahead, sir.
No, 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 no. I'm listening to you. I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
You said, but I met who? You were about to
No, you
say?
said you had it. You never see. Now that I'm thinking about it, when
What?
James was gone,
Oh, that's when Valona adopted Penny.
that's
He was no
right.
longer
So he
on the
was
show.
already
Exactly.
off. You
Remember
were already
He
James?
was no
off the
longer on the show.
show.
Right.
Yeah, James's character had been
Oh.
killed in an automobile accident, and Penny was introduced as Janae Dubois' adopted child or
That's right.
daughter, and uh, consequently, I never got to meet her. And I would have loved to have
Wow.
Wow.
met her. She's a consummate artist. Consummate
Wow.
artist.
Well,
Isn't that something?
damn.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. Right?
Right.
Oh
So
my
yeah.
God.
So 32 years ago, Coming to America came out, and it's another cult classic, of course, like Good Times. How do you feel about now Coming to America 2 coming back around?
And you was my kind of daddy in that movie, child.
Well, I thank you. I thank you for that. Yeah, we finished production, principal photography, and I guess, well, the entire production is just being edited now, and they're waiting for this virus to reach a point where people come back into movie theaters again because
Yeah.
it's such a big, beautiful production. One of the things I really liked about it is they had the same Academy Award winning costume designer
Wow.
for this one as they had in the first one. And those costumes, if you remember, they were
God.
magnificent.
Yes.
And
Right.
that scene in the palace when they had the big dance, that in itself
Yes.
is a film. So
Wow.
the production values were off the chain. The comedy obviously was off the chain. Eddie was at the top of his game, as was everybody in the movie. And as I reflect back on the original, even Samuel L. Jackson had what could best be perceived as a cameo, is now a
Yeah.
superstar. So
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
that movie did that movie did wonders for a great many people, and it put the groceries on my table for a couple of months.
There you
All
go.
No,
right.
that's right.
Mr. John, I saw
For a
not I
couple
can't
of
remember.
years. I tell the
Huh?
truth.
What do you say?
No, I just
He
said I
said,
tell
"Stop
the
calling
truth.
him
It
Mr.
put the
John."
groceries on the table for a couple of years.
Oh, okay. I saw that you were trying to buy an island at one time. Did you make that purchase?
No, I'm glad to say I didn't because
Okay.
the real estate market, as regards to islands, began to fluctuate not in my favor about that time. So I backed off. I said, if I want an island, I just go to Coney when it gets open again.
Yeah, yeah, we heard this is the same island that Ja Rule was doing his event, right?
As long as I can stay out of Rikers, it's all good.
Right.
There you go. So, like in Chicago, I mean, in New York and New Jersey, you had Coney. In Chicago, we had Stony.
Stony Island,
Stony
yeah.
Island. So,
Yeah,
absolutely.
you got it.
Well, John Amos, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We definitely appreciate it. Anything else you got coming up you want to tell us about?
The new movie. The new movie.
Yeah, I was really fortunate to be able to do this in the midst of the virus epidemic. Did a film down in Florida called Because of Charlie, and Charlie is the name that they gave to this hurricane. And what it is, it's a simple story, but it's the kind of story I like because it's about a dysfunctional family that involves just about every social or ethnic demographic that you can imagine. They all gather at the family gathering in Florida, primarily at the invitation of my character, the matriarch of the family, and they all have issues. But this hurricane that threatens all of their lives brings them together, and I'm glad to say that I think it's the kind of film that families will want to see, especially
Absolutely.
now with these epidemics and the fires raging and the storms that they're having in the tropical areas. It's a very, unfortunately, it's a very timely film in a lot of ways, but I think it's going to be good. It's got elements of humor in it. It's not a big disaster downer by no means. And then my son, after I finished that project, I immediately went to where did I go? To Nashville. I had to ask my assistant. It's getting a little foggy after all these years. But
That's
anyway,
all
I
right.
went to Nashville where my son KC, who's an accredited film director, he graduated from Cal Arts in Valencia with a master's in filmmaking. And the
Wow.
bottom line is, he directed me in what I think is going to be a sleeper of a music video, but in fact turned out to be almost a TV pilot um, with a young artist that is going to be making her name well known to the masses very shortly as a result of this music video and the other projects she's worked in. All is well. I'm very fortunate in being able to work through the virus situation and to keep rolling. And I've got a few more things that, if it's God's will come to fruition. And I'll keep my hand in the game.
My man.
Before we go, do you know the words to Good Times? Do you know the song?
Oh no.
I just want to know, do you know the words to the song? Yes, sir.
You talking about that questionable lyric that nobody seems to be able to remember?
We know it.
Yes,
we
yes.
know it. Do you
No,
know
we
it?
don't. We don't know.
Yes, we do.
Can you? Yeah. What is that lyric?
Okay. Are we going to do this together, or are we just?
Yes, we are. Let's go.
We can do it together.
Come on.
All
Here we
so
go.
together.
3,
Keeping
2,
our head
1.
above water.
Temporary
Start it again,
layoffs.
No. You
All
started.
right. How about this? Everyone
again.
will do a lyric. You do the first line of the lyric, James, and we'll go from Sasha to me to George. All right. Let's
Okay.
see who. Okay.
John.
Okay, James. John.
All right. The first line of the lyrics, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I forgot.
You first.
It's good times. It's good times. Good times.
All right, Sasha, you started off. Hold on.
Okay, so, all right. I'm going to do the first 2 lines. Good times anytime you need a payment. Good times.
Anytime you need a friend.
Good times. Okay, forget it.
I don't know.
That was you, Rick. You was up, Rick.
I don't know. Man.
Not getting hassled, not getting hustled. Keeping your head above water.
Making
Making a way when you can. Temporary layoffs.
layoff.
Good times. Easy credit rip-offs. Good times.
This the part.
Ain't
we-
lucky we got 'em.
Come on.
Dun.
Boom, boom. Good time.
Good.
That just made my year.
Oh my God. See, the dog even wanted to jump in. The one and only y'all, John Amos.
Thank
you
you
so much.
so
We appreciate
much.
Well, I thank you. And my kitty cat thanks you too.
You.
Aw.
Say
Oh, the
bye-bye, kitty cat.
Bye.
I didn't call Jane. I didn't call John James.
You
I
even
called
get-
the kitty cat a dog.
You even get his
man. I need to
pet
go-
wrong. My bad.
Just one of them days.
Y'all
Thank
got me
you
up
so
too
much,
early.
Mr. Amos.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right, take
you too.
care.
Thanks, man.
Bye.